In the latest chapter of One Punch Man, Blast, the #1 S-rank hero, just dropped a monster bombshell on us regarding the god of the series, the monster god, who apparently is sealed in some gate of a celestial rock cave, which the new god avatar, the founding ninja, can apparently unlock, but first he's going to have to be turned back to a human. So Saitama and Blast just went off in a black hole to go fight the founding ninja, and we're learning more about this god creature, the most exciting character in One Punch Man, just so mysterious and powerful. So with this new information, joining me today is Real Life Ryan, my go-to YouTuber for Berserk content, and he also makes a lot of other really great anime content, so go check out his channel, link in the description below. So in the most recent chapter of One Punch Man, we saw Saitama go away with Blast. He just straight up went with Blast into a black hole to go fight the founding ninja, who we learned is named Empty Void, and he has apparently taken God's power. There's going to be some crazy battles coming up here, and I'm joined today by Real Life Ryan, who has not read the webcomic. God wasn't really in the webcomic. We did see like one sketchy image of him with Homeless Emperor, but that was pretty much it. We haven't heard a peep about him since.
When it comes to the God character, I think this is really creative and unique, especially that we've only seen little glimpses of it. As far as the creature itself, I don't know what its overall goal and intentions would be, but I like the idea of it granting and bestowing powers to people, this monsterification, if you want to call it. And I would assume, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume, like, since it can't really interact on our plane of existence, like on our dimension, it seems like it's like, I don't know if it's trapped, but it seems like it's somewhere separate where it can't exactly like come here itself. So I always thought it gifting the monster abilities to other people was kind of its way of like being able to achieve its goals, being able to achieve its mission kind of like vicariously through other characters, right? Kind of like manipulating them, making sure that they give in to his offer, give in to his plea, and then do as thy wilt, you know, after they become a monster. So I always feel like it's kind of like unable to interact with Earth. So I'm wondering if creating all of the monsters is going to lead to a way for it to be kind of like broken out or being able to transfer into our dimension.
In the most recent chapter, Blast said that the founding ninja is the only one able to access the gate of the celestial rock cave. So if there's someone who's able, and this is the dimension, it leads to the dimension where God is held.
Yeah.
What that signifies to me is they're trying to turn the founding ninja back into a human so that they can access God, obviously either to destroy him or seal him for good or something like that. But it would appear if avatars have the ability to, you know, open a gate to God, wouldn't God want to like create these avatars like Garo and now Empty Void to potentially go over if he can't escape, like, but he can pass his mind through it and take people over or give them power, and then have them go to this cave and just open the door for him so he can escape. I mean, if that's the case, why wouldn't Empty Void have done that already? Unless he was trying to, and that's why Blast fought him and stopped him. But Blast was apparently going after the black cube, not do that. So there's some questions that are arising, but this whole gate celestial cave thing is pure manga specific. It was not in the webcomic.
Okay.
It appeared like there was this little mini arc with something called the Cruel Dragon, and we thought like maybe it could be that, but there was a chapter 164. Murata redrew it. In the previous rendition, it had Blast with a bunch of like space heroes, and when Saitama was fighting Garo, the space heroes were like, we got to get back to Earth. They're breaking the barrier that's sealing God, right? So that's since been taken out.
But wasn't there like a cave painting, like ritual on the wall of like resurrecting the god?
Yeah, they're like all these sacrifices.
Does that play into like the cave that this ninja guy, that man? I like how they call him that man, or Empty Void, you know, whichever.
No. That's very
separate?
different. Yeah, because
okay.
The cave was deep down in the Monster Association when Saitama fought Orochi. That was actually the redraw. When Saitama fought the Monster King redraw and he destroyed Orochi, the rocks on the wall started to crumble down, and we saw the altar, which Orochi thought that he was the god, and like all these little beings were being sacrificed to him. But as the wall broke away, you saw that the god was way above Orochi, and then he was just another sacrifice to lead up to God. And we did see him like in the sacrifice bowl, like right there. So I feel like God must have gotten the sacrifice. space. Is he making these god avatars because he needs powerful entities to just sacrifice enough of them that he can finally break out? I mean, Blast has got to let us know something about this sooner or later, because there's so many elements. Like, we even saw during the battle between Saitama and God Garo, we saw that like spine in the moon. It looked like God is sealed inside the moon. We got the imagery of him crawling up on top of the moon.
Yeah.
We got the imagery of him sealed inside some other dimension that Saitama and Flash were able to peer into because they touched a dark cube, and it appears that Blast is fighting one out in space. So I also theorize that maybe there's multiple gods, but maybe he just exists in multiple dimensions, and that's why it appears that way.
I kind of agree with you that there could be multiple ones, actually, because of the different interpretation. But then again, that could be like the interpretations of the characters seeing him. I'm not sure, but there's like the moon version, which we saw, and then there was the first guy, the homeless emperor guy, when we saw like the kind of earthy, kind of like grass, dirt, you know, kind of like built out of the earth type character that he looked like. I don't know if that's like the characters kind of seeing their own interpretation of the god character, or if that's literally meant to be like there's like a celestial version and like an earth version at the same time.
Right. It's a little bit strange because that earthy one was the only time we've seen it earthy. The rest of the time we've seen it, it looked like the face of Jupiter. It's got that, like, it looks like a brain or something like that. And that led me to believe, I mean, for a long time we theorized that God was actually Earth. It had become monstrified itself. It realized that humans were destroying it, and
I like that idea. That's
granted
cool.
granted everybody power so that they just wipe themselves out and the Earth could, you know, live again. But I'm thinking that's less and less the case, kind of like the more information we get. But there is some like missing key here as to why we have an earthy god, one in another dimension, one in the moon, and one out in space. Potentially 4 gods, potentially, you know, one god that just can move through all these different dimensions. I mean, he definitely, at the very least, we do know that you can communicate with this god if, one, you're really desperate, so like Homeless Emperor, Psycho Sorochi, or 2, you touch a black cube. And if you touch one, you can communicate with him. But other than that,
that's why I thought it was cool that they showed that in the like the Ninja Temple kind of backstory, that was there and kind of like explains this character. And like there was all those not a bunch of flashbacks, but definitely like images that showed Blast with the ninja character, like his former partner. Yeah. So I'm really curious about how much they're going to delve into the backstory between those two characters and like the falling out, or, you know, did Blast choose to specifically not kill him, or did he try to? And you know what I mean?
Said he escaped. Like the words they use is he escaped.
Right.
And, which brings up another question, because a lot of people in the comments were talking about this in my last chapter review. Is Blast weak? He didn't beat Garo. He didn't kill Elder Centipede, and he couldn't kill the Founding Ninja. Like, what's going on? Like, I thought, like, is he holding back? Like, what exactly is going on here? I don't think he's weak, in my opinion. I think he's probably holding back, or doesn't want to kill. Maybe he just doesn't like to kill people. I think he would
be holding back. Yeah, because I think he's kind of your template of like your traditional hero. I feel like I could be wrong, but he feels like in his personality that he's genuine. Like he's trying to help people. Like he's a superhero. Like he's a legitimate superhero in the One Punch Man world. That's what I feel like. And so, especially if the ninja character was his friend, and I think that he might be just trying to gather more information about things. Like he's not so much like kill first, ask questions later. He's really like, what can I do to really help the situation? That's the vibe I get from him anyway.
Yeah, he kind of wants the intel as well, so he can make like the most calculated best decision. Yeah. It's almost like he knows like every decision has like a branch of repercussions sort of thing, and he's trying to always make the optimal decision.
He seems experienced, like he's gone through that. Like that's why he makes those decisions, is because he's probably seen like the fallout of acting too quickly or getting something wrong, and then, you know, people getting hurt. He seems like he just really wants to have the overall knowledge of the situation beforehand. Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of mystery surrounding Blast, which is why it's so exciting to get him in any chapter. Like he always drops some nugget of information on us, and you know, like in the webcomic, he still defeated the Founding Ninja 15 years ago, but I don't think they were friends in the webcomic.
Okay.
And we didn't have his name. He was only that man. So yeah, the webcomic or the manga definitely really embellished on this. And that's partly why I wanted to talk about it. So instead of, well, I almost spoiled what happens to him. I think they're going to give us something like this big battle between the new god Avatar and Saitama and Blast, I mean, it has to be short-lived, you would think. But he can't be as strong as Garo, right? Like, there's no way. So I think in the next chapter, we're going to get like a major bomb information, basically. Unless like we don't see this fight for a little bit.
Because the last chapter, well, it ended with a cliffhanger between Flashy Flash and or if it's going to go with Saitama and Blast. But I just love the idea that Saitama and Blast are like in this little team up right now. Like, whenever
he's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'll go with
it. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I love Saitama so much, dude. He literally is like one of my favorite characters ever just because of his nonchalant attitude. And I just love that you juxtapose like his personality with Blast, who is like this traditional like hero, and then you have Saitama together. I don't know. I just can't wait to see what kind of interactions are going to come out of that.
That's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
Like, but so this arc is going to wrap up all these like little mini sub arcs for the series. We're getting like the ninja arc and the psychic sisters and the neo heroes and all this stuff. But in my opinion, and a lot of fans disagree with me, but I think the reason why One and Murata are giving us so much Blast and God is because after like the kind of third arc wraps up, I think we're going to go into the War on God arc. And it could take a really long time. Some people disagree with me because, there's still a lot of questions to be answered, but I think they're hinting at God so much. He's got to be coming.
Yeah,
the fight is.
This is my only thing about the current One Punch Man chapters is that I like a lot of the stuff that's going on, but I do feel there is a lot of different plot threads, and I'm not sure what the arc is trying to focus on overall.
Yeah,
because there was the Psycho stuff, which I really want them to get back to, because I was really invested in that. I was like, that's super cool, like this weird conspiracy of these
clan and stuff. Yeah,
and then now there's the secondary organization that's like gaining a bunch of heroes over to their side. I think that's cool. I think they're all cool ideas on their own, but I haven't. I'm not sure what like the overall narrative of this arc is yet. And maybe that's explained more in the webcomic, or maybe because the manga is kind of going in its own direction, it's just trying to find its footing. Again, I like all the stuff. I just don't know like what the prime directive
this all
is.
happened in the webcomic. I mean, I think the prime directive of all this is to embellish on the stories of the other characters and not just make it the Saitama show. Right. Because like, to be honest, like the other characters, in my opinion, are what makes this show great. Because if you just had Saitama one punching every main villain, the show would be boring. Nobody will watch it, right? It's when he comes in at the, after everybody has given everything, we heard their backstories, their hopes and dreams were crushed, that Saitama comes in and one punches them. That has such an impact. So I think these other arcs, they are progressing the story a little bit. Like, Neo Hero arc is showing us how the Hero Association is kind of falling apart. I don't think like the Psychic Sisters arc was really like that too much important, with the exception of people just love Psychos and Tatsumaki because tits.
Yeah, I'm a Fubuki man myself.
Me
so
too. I'm Fubuki all the way. And yeah, it's like embellishing all those characters. Now we get the ninja thing, because like we had seen Sonic so much through the series, but like he just comes in and gets owned, and then like that's it. And this is, I think, One's way of writing, giving us personalities to all these characters so we can kind of fall in love with them. And I think also perhaps the War on God arc could very well be like all the S-rank heroes and Saitama go with Saitama and Blast to another planet to fight God, which would make like all of those trials and tribulations that we're getting through these arcs even more impactful later on down the road, especially if they die or something, right? So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So they're kind of like, they're all going through their own individual struggle and their own little character arc, so that when that final inevitable battle happens, like they are all at their best. So that would make a lot of sense.
Exactly. Because if you think about it, just about every single S-rank hero, we've gotten their like full story, their backstory and everything.
Yeah.
Bang, Darkshine, and the list goes. I'm not all of them, but almost all of them.
I really like the Tatsumaki one where she was like captive and saved by Blast back in the day. I thought that was a really good like little development for her, because she's so standoffish and probably wouldn't explain her backstory outright. It was kind of cool to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the strategy, in my opinion. I think what they're doing is filling in the gaps in the story, like your questions I mean, I feel like most of our questions that don't have to do with God are now answered. Like, we had so many questions about Blast for the longest time, and then they just dropped it on. We're like, holy crap, you know? And
I remember when they first mentioned Blast, you know, when you saw everyone sitting at that council and his seat was empty, like the very first time, I was like, my theory was like, okay, he's either going to be like the ultimate villain of the series, or he's going to be another Saitama. I was completely wrong on both accounts. Most I love the mystery of it. Was great though.
Absolutely, yeah. Very well written character. Like, how could you not love him?
What about the cubes themselves? Do they think are they just a communication device, or do you think they have some kind of bigger significance?
Well, so far, all we know about the cubes is they are, what is the word? A transmitter. It gives you the ability to like communicate with God, or at least for God to communicate with you, like if you're touching one. And Blast said he's been going around the world collecting them. So we don't know how many there are, how many Blast has. Does he collect 7 and summon Shenlong? Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if you had all of them? Like, would that do something? You know?
Yeah, I think we're absolutely going to get something like that later on the road, where, like, if you assemble all 10 cubes, you can, you know, go. Maybe that's how they go fight God in the end of the series.
Right? Yeah.
So you could have like some adventures where there's some cubes out there. I mean, imagine if like Blast takes Saitama around the universe and they're going to different planets collecting.
I would love to
cubes.
see that.
Could you imagine how cool that would be? Like, you know, that's why I'm thinking the next arc is going to be the War on God arc, but it is going to be probably like the longest arc in the series.
Yeah, like, I'd love to see some like Guardians of the Galaxy One Punch Man style. You know what I mean?
Dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, there's so much potential here. You know, my only real question is the S rank heroes are just nothing compared to Blast and Garo and especially Saitama. Yeah. Like. You have Tatsumaki and Blast are pretty much the only ones that can do anything to like God, or like the strongest enemies of the series, with the exception of Saitama. So I don't know what bringing all they'd probably just be fodder, you know?
Yeah, the other one too is like, I'm really curious if they're going to do anything with Garo in the manga, because to be honest, besides Saitama, he's probably my favorite character, but I don't know if like his story is done, or if they do plan to do more with him, because obviously if he's not, you know, cosmic, whatever, like he was before, like he's not.
Well, they showed him again. He was like training under the waterfall, and he became.
Yeah, they showed him, but I don't know if they're gonna if there's more to do with him. You know what I mean?
There's got to be, man. Like, he's too much. He was too big of a part of the story, and fans love him too much. And the arc was too cool to not bring him back and make him a good guy in the future. I mean, Bang. They said in the manga, Bang is retiring, so I think there's a very good chance Garo could take his place. And
right, yeah.
Maybe be number 3 S rank hero. I think that would sound about right, because even with all his martial arts, I feel like Tatsumaki would just be like, squish, you're dead.
Yeah, true. But I love him so much, so I definitely want to see more with him too.
Yeah. But in any case, we're going to have a really awesome fight or two next chapter. We're going to have Founding Ninja versus Blast and Saitama, and Sonic versus Flash. So pretty exciting stuff.
Dude, I can't wait for it.
I'm happy,
especially with Murata's artwork. Like, it just, all of his double page spreads just floor me every single. I'm like, how do you pump this out on like a bi-weekly basis?
He's an actual god of art. All right, I'll wrap up with this. Who do you think's gonna win, Flashy Flash or Sonic?
You know, I would like to see Sonic get some kind of win in his life.
Yeah, I know, right? Flashy Flash did already. He beat Hellfire and Gale.
Yeah, so I'll be pulling for him. You know, I always root for the underdog. So, you know, I'm going to root for Sonic.
Yeah. My money's on Flashy Flash, but...
that's fair.
Just because I like him more.
Yeah.
I just think he's so cool. Like, I love the way he moves and looks and everything. Well, we'll find out in a week.
One Punch Man is a series that I've always loved. I obviously started with the anime, probably like most people did, and was blown away by it. And I don't know why it took me so long to read the manga, but I finally did, and I binged it for a while. And since pretty much towards the end of like the Monster Association arc with Garo, I've been reviewing it chapter by chapter as it's been coming out on my channel. And dude, I can't like get over the fact that this manga still manages to be so entertaining and so hilarious after so long, and every single time Saitama just does his thing.
Thanks for joining us. Check out Ryan's channel at Real Life Ryan. He does all sorts of great reviews on Berserk and tons of other anime you probably watch, so go check out his channel, link in the description. Thanks, Ryan, for
awesome. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.